Hello everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for weatherweb.net and the Sailing Weather Information Service, sailingweather.co.uk. This is your latest weekend and week ahead forecast. Here's the chart for Friday first of all, and this warm front making its way northwards across the south of England during the day on Friday. Fronts also spreading their way up the Irish Sea, and areas of rain and drizzle moving their way northwards, that rain turning more persistent and heavy out towards the southwest as the day goes on. For most parts of the English Channel though, it's mostly drizzly, patchy light rain, but reducing visibilities as that rain does arrive. Further north though, we've got cloudy skies once again, but mostly dry for northern parts of the Irish Sea, around Scotland and for many eastern coasts of England. Here's your forecast winds for Friday then. We've got southeasterlies at around a force 4 to a force 5 across the eastern coast of England during the day. For the English Channel, it's mostly south to southeasterlies, around a force 4 across the eastern regions, maybe locally a force 3 near to shore. Go a bit further west though, it's increasing, typically a southerly and getting nearer to a force 5 for the western side of the English Channel. And as you move into the Irish Sea, getting nearer to a force 6 or a force 7, and winds here again mostly as a southeasterly, becoming southerly for the south of Ireland. Strongest winds looking like being around the north and the west of Ireland, here force 7 towards a force 8 around the far northwest of Ireland. For Scotland as well, that wind speeds are around force 5 or a force 6 in the Western Isles, and similar to forces 5 to maybe nudging a force 6 around the far northeast, but nearer to a force 4 or a force 5 in more northeastern parts of England and southeastern Scotland. For Saturday then, we've got this cold front moving its way northeastwards, some bursts of rain on that as we go through the day, and then slowly rain advancing again back into the southwest as this front moves its way slowly northwards. For many though, Saturday is not such a bad day, quite dry and bright out across the Irish Sea and around Ireland. A few showers to come across the western side of Scotland through the day on Saturday. Eastern Scotland though may stick with some heavier bursts of rain into the middle part of the day, slowly clearing their way northwards. Across East Anglia and the southeast of England though, a fairly mild day with temperatures in the afternoon not far off 13 or 14 degrees Celsius by Saturday afternoon, and generally staying quite bright here through the day and staying dry. The strongest of the winds move their way northwards overnight into Saturday. Strong winds in the morning across more northern parts of Britain. This is early on Saturday morning, around a force 7 to a force 8 for a time across northeastern parts of Scotland, slowly easing though as we go through the morning. Elsewhere, for East Anglia, it's a southerly at around a force 4 to a force 5, tending to ease from a stronger wind first thing in the morning towards a force 4, and in the English Channel, generally also from the south at around a force 4, maybe locally a force 5 offshore for a time in the morning. Becoming a bit more variable and slowly moving around to a westerly in the southwestern approaches, locally to a force 3 but often nearer to a force 4. In the Irish Sea, southwesterlies and nearer to a force 5 for much of the day, but in shelter near the Irish coast, nearer to a force 4 here. Across western Scotland, the northwest of Ireland as well, we've got winds as a southwesterly, here to a force 5 or a force 6 locally, but in shelter nearer to a force 4 in the western coast of Scotland. As I said though, the wind speeds are easing down as we go through into Saturday afternoon, the strongest winds moving away towards the northeast. For most places becoming light and variable in the south of England, here down to a force 3 or less for a good part of the afternoon, and direction becoming variable, a bit more northerly out towards the west, a bit more southerly out towards the east. Still sticking with a southerly at around a force 4 across some of these eastern coasts, and more southwesterly at around a force 4 to a low force 5 across northeastern coasts as we go into Saturday afternoon. For the Irish Sea, similar southwesterlies at generally around a force 4, but it is stronger again out towards the far northwest of Ireland, locally to a force 6, maybe even a force 7 around some of these exposed western coasts. On into Sunday, and we've got a slow-moving frontal feature situated across many parts of central and eastern Britain. This is likely to linger with some rain persisting for many hours during the day on Sunday, all slowly making its way eastwards and turning damp to end the day across East Anglia and the eastern side of the English Channel. Out towards the west, a damp start, but slowly brightening up for Devon and Cornwall and the southwestern approaches of Wales, and the Irish Sea probably not doing too bad with quite a dry and a bright day here. We've got a few showers again to move into western Scotland, the Western Isles, but across Scotland as a whole, again, not such a bad day, just watching out for a few bits and pieces of drizzly rain, just grazing onto these eastern areas if that front is a bit further back westwards. Wind speeds for Sunday are mostly light and variable away towards the southeast at first, ahead of that frontal feature, but increasing markedly across many central areas of the English Channel, all that spreading from west to east as we go during the day. And as we go through the day on Sunday, likely to be reaching a force 5 or a force 6 for a few hours, but I think most of the day sticking with around a force 3 to a force 4, particularly away towards more eastern regions. Gradually though, as that front moves through, western areas are brightening up as I said, and they're dropping then wind speeds nearer to a force 4 as a northerly. For the Irish Sea, it's still sticking with a southwesterly and around a force 4 in more southern areas to nearer to a force 5 nearer to Northern Ireland and southwestern Scotland. Stronger winds though for the north coast of Northern Ireland and western Scotland, here southwesterlies and much nearer to a force 6 locally in exposure, getting near to a force 7, but in shelter around the Western Isles of Scotland, back down to around a force 5. Southwesterlies in northeast Scotland and the Northern Isles to around a force 5 to perhaps a force 6, but lighter winds overall for northeast England, here down at force 4 overall and a southwesterly for direction. For Monday then, we've got low pressure centred across the northern part of France. We've got some rain and showers likely to affect parts of the English Channel running along the south and the southeast coast of England, one or two majors to affect East Anglia as well. Elsewhere, with high pressure in charge, most places are dry, quite bright with some hazy sunshine trying to break through. I think gradually though clouds thickening from the west as this front moves across Ireland, but for a good part of the Irish Sea and around Scotland as well, a dry day and quite bright with some occasional sunshine. And your wind speeds for Monday, quite light and variable across many parts of southern Britain. In the English Channel, maybe locally a northeasterly, but still generally only a force 3 to a force 4. Stronger winds through the western and northwestern parts of Britain, across northeastern Scotland as west or southwesterlies to a force 5, locally a force 6, but in shelter near shore, quite a little bit lighter. Through the Irish Sea, mostly southwesterlies and near to a force 4. Stronger westerlies getting going across the western side of Ireland, getting towards a force 6 here. But for many places on Monday, light winds for many. For Tuesday, low pressure is still looking like being centred away towards the near continent. Again, we've got some showers and outbreaks of rain affecting the south and the east. A few of these, again, persistent through the day, feeling quite cool and unpleasant here, even though wind speeds are mostly light. Elsewhere, a lot of cloud around, some bits and pieces of patchy rain through the Irish Sea, one or two bits and pieces of rain around Scotland, but overall, not such a lot of rain, just a quite cool and cloudy fields thing during the day on Tuesday. And with high pressure still largely in charge for Tuesday, light winds for many. Most places are down as a force 3, perhaps locally a force 4 in the mid-English Channel and out in exposure in the far south west, but near to shore you're likely to be forces 3 to a force 2, so many places quite light and variable with your directions and quite often down to a force 2 or a force 3. Around the far west and northwest of Scotland, maybe again locally towards a force 4. By Wednesday, it looks like fronts are moving back in off the Atlantic, so cloud and rain advancing from the west, increasing wind speeds as well by this time, and gradually that spreading its way eastwards through midweek and into the later part of the week. Overall, though, for Wednesday, it looks like eastern regions staying dry and bright, the eastern side of the English Channel and across the eastern coast of England and Scotland, but rain getting in across the Irish Sea and around western and southwestern parts of Scotland too. For Wednesday, the strongest of the winds are for more western regions, here increasing as a southwesterly, becoming westerly at force 5 to later on a force 6 in more western areas, out towards the western side of Ireland and western Scotland, but across eastern parts of the English Channel, generally as a south to southwesterly at around a force 4 or a force 3 in East Anglia, locally a little bit lower than that perhaps. So fairly cool, fairly damp for many places across the British Isles over the next few days. A few spots having some brighter spells, especially around the west and the northwest during Saturday and Sunday, and then gradually as we go through next week, looks like Atlantic fronts are back with us, bringing periods of rain and stronger winds to many western areas. But that's your latest sailing weather forecast here at Sailing Weather Information Service and weatherweb.net. Thanks for watching and bye for now.